Hello everybody, I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today I want to share with you guys my experience and final thoughts with the Kershaw Knives Highball. Now don't get it confused with the Highball XL, that one's a significantly larger one that just has different handle looking color. This one is the darker one that's a little bit smaller. This was marketed as a old-fashioned meets like higher tech looking. Well, I mean, you guys know how Kershaw likes to do their designs. They're kind of out there. They're a little futuristic, little techy, little nerdy looking. But this one did pique my interest a little bit because it was probably the most simple out of a lot of their designs. And also it is not assisted, thank God, because I am not a fan of assisted knives. I much prefer the tight tolerance and the idea behind higher quality of fit and finish to achieve smooth action with whether it's washers or bearings. Anyway, besides all that stuff, so I picked this guy off of knifecenter.com, and you can currently pick it up for $48.95. I got it on sale for a couple bucks off. It wasn't anything too significant, but I decided, hey, why not? This is my first Kershaw, if I have not mentioned that yet, and it didn't exactly paint the best picture for the brand. Is it right for me to assume that by this one specific unit of a knife that it should paint the picture for the whole brand as a whole? No, that's not really fair of me to do, but I'm also not made of money, and I'm not going to buy every single design that piques my interest. But little by little, I'm not saying that I'm never going to buy another Kershaw because of my poor experience with this knife, but they're going to be far and few. So let's get into specs here. So blade length, it is 2.8 inches, closed length, 3.8, overall length, 6.75 inches. Blade material is D2. And I love D2. D2 is a great material. Blade style is a clip point. Yeah, it's cool. I have like maybe one other clip point blade shape within my collection. It's just not a shape that I gravitate towards because I like purchasing knives that benefit me the most in my place of work. And as some of you may know, I go through a lot of boxes and cardboards stocking products for the Coca-Cola company. And don't mind this little sparkle of sunlight. That's not your eyes, that's my window. Sun's going down and it's windy out here, and I got a tree in the front yard. It is on ball bearings, KBT ball bearing system, and pretty much the whole knife handle materials and frame is PVD coated steel, and its weight is 2.9 ounces and only a carry of tip up right hand only, which is kind of unfortunate for lefties. Nowadays, I do believe that in the process of making a knife design that everybody should have a chance. Everybody should have a chance to enjoy. So from a market perspective, you're limiting yourself to, you know what, like 30-40% of the population that is left-handed or ambidextrous. There are some knives within my collection that I would like to carry left-handed because I am ambidextrous. And then there are individuals like my younger sister who are just lefties. So I was born a lefty, and because my parents were like, the devil and all this other kind of bullshit, they, forced me to become a right-handed dominant individual. But there are still many things that I am able to achieve and do quite comfortably with both hands. Also with like riding a skateboard, I ride it the way that a left-handed person would. I never understood that concept, but regardless, this thing does weigh a little bit more than the 2.9 ounces that it says it does. And I'm just closing my laptop over here. It's small. Like this is a pretty small knife, right? Or yeah, this is not a full size. I would consider this a medium to small size knife. What would be small is like the baby banter. That thing's small. but it's very useful and it is actually hand filling. This, not so much. This is medium to small. Let's pull out a couple little size comparisons. These are knives that are extremely common throughout the knife carry hobby. This is the Civivi knives. Oh shit, I just forgot the name. The Elementum. Sorry, I don't know why I blanked on that. Spyderco Para 3. The Demco 8020.5. Osborne 940 from Benchmade. And last but not least, the Bug Out. So yeah, it's even smaller than the Bug Out, which is cool. Like I do enjoy smaller knives, and I'm always saying that in my videos. While larger, more hand-filled knives bring a smile to my face, as I do many others. I picked this knife up because I really did like the design, and I thought it was gonna be a little bit lighter weight. The action is good, and I was taken quite by surprise in my first impressions by unboxing, because I was expecting the action to kind of be a little shitty, honestly. But on Knife Center, the title for this knife, or the name or description, is two-hand opening knife. This is not a two-hand opening knife. In no way would you really need two hands to open or close this knife. You can flick it out with your thumb, and the reverse flick has got to be my favorite. The reverse flick is sweet. You can also slow roll it. It is nice and sturdy feeling. It's very light, yet solid feeling. There is no blade play when it's, you know, engaged side to side or up or down. It's nice and solid. I do enjoy that. I did push out the frame lock a little bit out past. It doesn't have an over travel stop, but it is very thick material you're working with here. So I pushed it out a little bit just to make it a little bit smoother and to my liking. So if you are interested in this knife, just know that there is a break-in period, yes, and that it's gonna be a little tighter, which will add to it being a little snappier, but with how I, take care of my nails and all, usually I end up having like skin that protrudes versus the nail. So I wanted it to be light enough to where if I could push it against with just my skin, that I'd be able to, flick it out. That's just me. Let's get into hardware. So hardware is just regular steel hardware. The pocket clip, the screws on there. This is not deep carry, but it does get into the pocket rather well. I don't find myself fidgeting to get it in or out. Pivot is a T8, T6 for the rest. Now, there was a huge issue with this knife. This thing was drowned in Loctite. So I have not been able to take apart this knife and do the usual maintenance that I enjoy doing on my knives. So I take them apart, I dunk everything in WD-40, and I clean it up, put it back together, I tune it, and I go on my way and enjoy my knife, right? As most people do. Take care of the edge, basic edge maintenance. I'll coat the blade in oil to keep any rust off. This is D2, and D2 can rust. I myself have not had much of an issue with D2 rusting, and I have multiple knives that are in D2 and they have not rusted on me yet. I'm thankful for that. But that is also attributed to my level of care for my knives. Regardless if it's expensive or cheap, I'm gonna take care of them all the same. But unfortunately, this knife I was not able to take apart. It actually broke 2 of my T6 bits, and I even purchased the Weeha bit set that Metal Complex recommends, and it broke it. It twisted it, and then it just broke it within the first couple seconds of me taking it out of the Amazon packaging. So that kind of sucked. I ended up investing in a much more expensive Weeha bit set, and even then I was still finding myself fighting all the Loctite that this unit was drowned in, and I decided not to push it to the limit because the Weeha bit set that I purchased was about like $55 versus the $22 bit set that Metal Complex was recommending. Regardless, that is due to the manufacturer. That's an issue coming from the manufacturer, and I don't appreciate that. You know, as a knife enthusiast, I want to be able to maintain my own knives. This is my item. I should be able to do as I please with it, and I would essentially ruin this knife, its hardware, and many bits to be able to do what I should be allowed to do from the beginning. So there's my little rant on that. I had a flashlight. Oh, here it is. A couple issues that I had with this knife is the grind. Show you guys. The grind is a little bit uneven on one side versus the other. Something that I should be able to fix, like this one back here, it's like normal all the way up there, and then as it gets to down here, it's non-existent. But at least the shape allows me to be able to sharpen it enough to make it my own, which I do appreciate that. Lockup is perfect. There is another issue that I had with this knife, a finishing issue. The frame lock is such a tight construction. You see how fine that is, right? But this area is actually pretty freaking sharp. It's not that big of a deal. It's not a space that I could find myself interacting with much, but it's just a finishing issue that I realized after my initial unboxing and first impressions. Also, this back spacer, there's a post here for lanyard people. I myself, I'm not a lanyard individual, except on my keychain, I guess. But this is just like a very cheapy, simple plastic back spacer. I don't think it's actual G10. I think it's like plastic. And if I can show you guys this, there's actually a gap. Let's see if I can do this. How am I gonna do this? How do I do this? No. There we go. Can you guys see that? The light peeking through. You can see the screw or the pin holding in. And then it's tight and pretty much seamless all throughout there, but then you can see this giant freaking gap. I apologize for the poor camera quality. I am recording on my phone, but that's just another finishing issue. Also, there's a good bit of a detent lash. The blade does wiggle a little bit, but I don't find myself noticing that when I go to engage and disengage. If you're looking for a quality piece, this is not it. If you're looking for value, this is not it. But if you really do like the design and you're okay with a couple of these little visual things, because that's really what it is, majority of these things are visual. Maybe this part, you might consider it a possible future safety issue somehow. But besides all that, I mean, it's still a knife. I don't think that it's deserving of its price. Just under $50 and then over $50 with the cheapest shipping possible and taxes and all that. There are many knives out there that you can get that are constructed way better, lighter, and just at a higher quality overall versus, this specific one coming from Kershaw. As I mentioned before, this is my first Kershaw knife, and I will not let this experience ruin my further purchases with the Kershaw brand. Really, all I'm looking for is just something that's built to today's standards, which this is not. This kind of stuff was okay, 5 years ago or so, and being part of the knife hobby 5 years ago, I was not a part of that. But I do remember, 8-9 years ago when I was younger, and I would buy Kershaw knives from Walmart. This is very reminiscent of that. This takes me back. It really does. And that's not a good thing. That really isn't. So let me know in the comments if you guys have had a similar experience with this. Please let me know which Kershaw knife I should look into. I don't like super tactical. I don't like assisted at all. I can't unfortunately purchase any auto spring assist or OTF knives. Not a huge fan of serrations. I'm a very simple guy. I'm not a fan of recurve or tanto. I like drop point, clip point, sheep's foot. I like the very simple stuff. I'm a simple guy, and it always bugs me when like knives and companies try to do something a little crazy when they can't get the basic stuff done right, like fit and finish. Like materials is one thing, sure, like you can use the cheapest of materials. Like they could have even used aluminum to make this a little bit lighter, and I get the purpose of this was to be more sleek and gentlemanly, but this thing's a little freaking rock. It really is. And I did take this to church one day, and I wore slacks, and it, you know, made my pocket sag a little bit more than I thought that it would have. But, you know, I used it regardless, and I carried it with me that one Sunday. In the workplace, it's all right. The clip point blade shape, I didn't find myself having much of an issue with it. I have yet to sharpen it. It is D2, and I have other knives that are D2, so I don't think I'm gonna have an issue with that. But, oh, also another thing too, up here, and there was another spot, I just can't remember where it's at, but up here, it's like rubbed off. The finish is rubbed off. And honestly, I've only used this knife for about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. And for the finish to rub off already, that's no bueno. That is not good. But yeah, I'm not gonna recommend this knife to you guys unless you absolutely love the design. Go for it, and maybe your online retailer that you prefer that has this knife in stock will have a deal on it, so you can pick it up at a little bit less of a price. If this thing was brought at like 35 or 40 bucks, I mean, every little bit makes a difference. I mean, none of us are made out of money, and I just want to be able to be happy with my purchase and get the most for my dollar. I'm sure you guys would appreciate that too. Regardless, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.